a personality shaped by being an athlete and a background in mainstream sports media, I found that the stories I was most interested in telling were the ones often overlooked, the ones that might not otherwise be told, the ones that show the intangible and not just the highlight reel. The Sports Council is about highlighting the great, the good, the unique, and everything in between in the Pacific Northwest sports world. I'm Jamie Council. Thanks for joining me.
You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, the Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Welcome to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports. I'm Jamie Council, and Merry Christmas from the Sports Council. And we have a special show today. We've been wanting to do some crossovers, and today we have it. We're joined by Eric Sorenson, a man that wears many hats. Welcome, Eric.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's nice to be on the other side of the record button.
Right? It's a little bit different for you. So you are no stranger to a microphone.
That's right. Yeah, we do plenty of that. So thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. And no stranger to the game of baseball either.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been part of baseball my whole entire life. Actually, I don't think other than the 2020 year, I don't think I've had a spring without baseball. So I'm kind of scared for when that day happens.
Well, it won't happen anytime soon. And even when it does happen, you can continue to talk about it. So a lot of people asking, well, Christmas, baseball, and baseball is kind of a year-round thing that I've really dove into in the past year in the state of Washington. So want to talk a little bit about you. You're in the thick of a lot of different things going on in the sport of baseball in Washington, as well as have a podcast. So we'll talk about that. Pacific Northwest Fungo Banter podcast. Did I say that right?
You did, yes. Yeah.
Perfect. I only practiced a couple times.
That's awesome.
So you said baseball is a big part of your life. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you when it comes to why baseball?
That's a great question. I think it all started young kid, right? Going playing Little League and something that clicked with me on whatever it was about the game itself as a young guy. And then, the older I got, the more I just really knew that was my sport and my thing. Growing up here in Kittitas, Ellensburg area and played Little League all the way through high school, played for Kittitas High School, which is kind of a fun story of coming back to coaching later on and afterwards. But it's the best game. It can be so mean. It can be so cruel sometimes, but it's just, to me, it's just the best. It reveals so much about people. It reveals so much about life in general. And so, that's where it's at. And then for me, I was a pretty good baseball player through high school after I graduated from Kittitas, and I was fortunate enough to go play in college. I went to Big Bend Community College and played for a couple of years. And then luckily had a couple opportunities. One was back in the Midwest after there, and then one was here in Ellensburg. And I decided I'm going to go to the place where there's not snow on the ground halfway through the season and talk about how cold it is. So, and luckily coming home and mom and dad were able to come to all my games here at Central. And, I played until I think it was about halfway through my career at Big Bend. I realized this is probably going to be, I ain't going to play much longer after this. And so then I realized I was kind of scared. Like I said a minute ago, I was kind of scared. Like, what am I getting? My spring's going to be like I've never done that before. And so that's when I started thinking about, man, maybe I want to coach someday. And that, I know my coaches were probably creeped out how close I started sitting in the dugout to them all the time, but I was trying to learn those conversations, right? I wanted to know more about coaching in general. And so luckily I was able to figure that out early in life and through still playing that, hey, this is where I want to be. So, and luckily fortunate coming home to Central Washington University to play. When our seasons were over with, Coach Merle Watkins, who's a Washington State Baseball Hall of Famer, he was my coach. He coached for well over 20 some years. He called me up. He goes, your season's over. Do you want to come out? We're about to go to the playoffs and you can come volunteer. I was like, I was kind of ready to be done for the year, but I was like, yeah, let's do it. Okay, why not? So I came out and I helped the first year here at Central. And then the next year, the same exact thing. He goes, so your season's over. You're going to come out to practice tomorrow? And I was like, sure, why not? And then I've never stopped, I guess, from there. And I was his assistant coach for 4 or 5 years. And then when he stepped down, I was fortunate enough that they hired me on as the head guy. And I'm on year 12, I think now, as the head coach at Kittitas High School.
Just keep showing up.
Yeah. They're going to probably have to drag me out of there whenever whenever that day comes to step down and move on with life. But it's kind of I don't know, it's in your blood, I guess, a little bit. Sometimes I wish I could have gone someplace else and coach, just to, coach with other people and learn different ways. But at the end, it's, we've created a lot of really good relationships, coached a lot of really fun kids, and seeing their results now in their life has been probably the most rewarding thing of coaching here at Kittitas.
Yeah, a lot of compound opportunities. And it's only been recently. I mean, I played softball. I played a lot of different sports. Soccer was my main sport. Not that many people know that, or maybe they do, but soccer was my main sport. But it's only been in the past couple of years that I've really had a deeper appreciation of baseball. And I think just something that sticks with me is it's a game of failure. You're never going to get 100% on something. You're never going to hit perfection. And it's kind of like the same. You're never going to bat 1,000. It's a game of failures. And I don't know, that's just something that has stuck with me, I guess, from a hyperbolic standpoint of baseball, and why it takes its toll on so many people like you that can't get out of it. Don't want to get out of it.
I know, right? It's in your blood, right? It's a disease. I've always told my kids, like, baseball's my mistress, right? My wife knows that. She knows that if I'm going to be at practice or farming, right? So it's just a great game. And I think that the failure part of it reveals so much about life in general. And I use that in my coaching of the kids, because when we are talking about the game, and it's usually a point in the season, they've all heard this speech every single year, but man, like, you can go through senior through freshman. Seniors, your real life's about to it's going to smack you in the face here in 2 months. And so people aren't going to be there to do things for you. How are you going to handle adversity when all this stuff, and the older I've gotten in life, the more I can give examples of being married or having kids and all that kind of stuff, and really correlate it back to baseball in general. And it kind of, it's such a great tool to see a kid, and especially throughout a season when we start and you can see frustrations hit them and whatnot. And then we can sit them down in the classroom or talk to them about the mental game of baseball, and just to see them grow as a person, so that hopefully when they graduate, our goal as Kittitas is, we're going to win as many baseball games as possible, but ultimately we're here to generate good young men, and they're going to be productive members to society. Our hopes are, at least, and give them tools to be productive members of society. And so I think the failures of that, it will prepare you for everyday life, and when maybe the job's not what you want it to be, but you have to work it to support your family, right? And it's always fun to see that correlate back, especially come April, May, when big games are happening baseball wise, and they're able to handle the situations of failure. And still, I mean, how many people can get beaten down that many times and still have to come up in the seventh and get a big hit to win a game? And so it just prepares people so much. And that's part of the reason why I said earlier, it's a cruel game, but I love it. We'll never get rid of this game and the love for it.
Again, we're catching up with Eric Sorenson. It's a Christmas on the Sports Council. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the high school game, what's going on in the off season here on the Sports Council, 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Life happens. Lucky for you, ICCU has a new kind of checking account that comes with benefits that help you life better. Because being human is a full-time job.
Christmas is in the air at Krispy Kreme Yakima, and the Peanuts gang is here. Celebrate with Snoopy, Charlie Brown, and a festive holiday dozen, perfect for parties or any holiday event. And while you're in, add a dozen original glaze for just $9.99 every day. Raising money? Krispy Kreme is still helping you raise some dough. Ask in-store about fundraisers. Be sure to download the app for sweet deals. Krispy Kreme, 2805 Dupertail in Richland. Come in with a sweet tooth, leave with a smile.
Living in a rental shouldn't mean settling for poor-tasting tap water. With Soft Water Specialists, you can have pure, clean drinking water in your home, easily and affordably. Our countertop filtration system removes impurities, improves taste, and fits perfectly in any rental space. Plus, it can produce hot or cold water. No big installations, no hassle, just fresh, crisp water. Stay healthy, stay hydrated, and love your water again. Soft Water Specialists. See why we have a 5-star rating on more than 600 Google reviews. Visit softwaterspecialist.com and love your water where you live.
It's time to save big during the Red Tag event at McCurley Chevrolet, where incredible deals make driving your next vehicle easier than ever. Right now, take advantage of financing as low as 0% and explore a wide selection of new and used vehicles. From trucks to SUVs, we've got the vehicle to fit your life and your budget. Don't wait. Your next ride is closer than you think. McCurley Chevrolet, your way home.
If you've got a winery, brewery, or dairy, why buy industrial parts and supplies from across the country? Central Industrial Sales is your local source for supplies and equipment for the dairy, food processing, winery, and brewing industries. We specialize in custom fabrication, industrial cleaning equipment, sanitary fittings, valves, pumps, chemicals, and many other supplies. Everything's available through our website, by phone, or by dropping by our office. Call 509-375-4032 or find us at centralindustrialsales.com.
You're listening to Jamie Council on the Sports Council.
We're back on the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports. It's our Christmas episode, having a crossover episode with the Pacific Northwest Fungo Banter podcast, joined by Eric Sorenson, head coach for Kittitas, as well as a host on the podcast. And Eric, you mentioned it in segment number 1. You put a lot of time in baseball, but when you don't, you also are a big farmer.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm a 4th generation farmer here in the Kittitas Valley. It was something that I guess that's part of the reason I'm a coach at Kittitas. I've always believed in being part of something bigger than you. And I think carry on the generation of Sorenson farms. It was a big deal, especially when, being around grandpa doing this, and then my dad and my uncle right now, and then being able to take things over from them. And yeah, it's a struggle. I encourage anybody that wants to get into coaching, go to education, because that's way easier. But to be my own boss and to carry on a legacy like I am here, and then hopefully carry on a legacy of Kittitas baseball has kind of always been one of my core things.
Yeah, it's a legacy. I think the first time we met you, we were on a Zoom, and you were in the tractor on the farm, yeah. And I'm like, yep. It was not the first time I've conducted an interview with somebody on a tractor, and it won't be the last. So I've gotten used to that, but I think it's just worth noting. I love the sports community in the Pacific Northwest, and there's a big tie to the agriculture. I will say that I've noticed, but you are the head baseball coach at Kittitas. Tell me a little bit about that. It's the off season. It's a spring sport. What does that look like right now?
So I've always been very proactive and encouraging our kids to play 3 sports. So the good news is the majority of our baseball team is playing. They play football, and the majority are playing basketball with a few wrestlers along the way. And I love it when they wrestle too, because those kids are just tougher than nails. The wrestling community. But so right now it's a lot of those kids we're hands off, right? WIA won't let us to do anything from August 1st till the season starts. So, it's for me, I think the biggest thing where the kids are getting build their team camaraderie, they're getting to play sports and build all those muscles and work out. For me, it's trying to get into the school. Beans, I'm off campus, try to get in there and just try to talk to the kids. And it's nothing baseball related, right? It's just, how's your day? How's the family? How's all that kind of stuff? And just kind of grow this thing and see if they need anything from me. And that's the big thing. I know a lot of them are on their own doing their off-season workouts. Some of them have some travel programs that they play for, and they do all their to get prepared. I hope right now they're enjoying the Christmas break and they're taking life easy, because you need rest for this thing to truly appreciate it later in life. But right now it's grinding, trying to create relationships with the kids and making sure that they're doing things right in the school and getting prepared. So when March 2nd hits, that we're hitting the ground running as academics and as people in general, and hoping the kids are building, just a good sense of leadership within their own peer group and in the school.
Is there something that you're specifically looking to learn going into a fresh season, or it's you don't know what you don't know?
Yeah, I think there's that. It's obvious. It's so odd because as a coach, it could be this most random thing that hits you. For me personally, at least, what really evolved for me as a coach, when I got into it, I was like, we're going to go win, but all this stuff, right? And then we got knocked out early, and it was of a year. It was like my second or third year, and we're driving home from Moses Lake District Tournament, and I texted Coach Watkins, sorry, we didn't carry on the state tournament tradition. He's like, that's not what we're about here, Eric. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, we're about everything I talked about earlier. And then from then on, it's starting to grow with podcasts. And like, but some of the best ideas I've had hit me is listening to a podcast walking through the middle of a hayfield irrigating, or seeing just watching any kind of a baseball documentary or just any coach speaking. It really gets, I know that I have my overall goals for the guys going into the season, what I want to build, what this group of kids I have coming through, what we need to do as an individual group. But, and so I've had a pretty good head start on that. But then there's those other things that hit you in the most random moments of driving down the road, and you have to pull over and write a note down because we can implement this for our base running or our defense and stuff, or just something so simple. And yeah, I think I get some weird looks from my wife plenty of times of like, what are you doing? I got to write this down real quick before I forget, because this is going to help us come springtime.
That's all coaches are, is something that you've stolen from coaches that have come before you.
Oh, 100%. And you just make it your own. You twist a little bit, and it's all been done before. It's just someone said that's like fashion. It keeps coming back around. Well, it's a lot in coaching athletics too.
Absolutely. And you talked a little bit about baseball documentaries. Do you have a favorite recommendation?
The best movie, and I need to make my order because I got a couple new coaches on staff. It's Inning by Inning. I think it's behind me. Yep. It's Inning by Inning by Augie Garrido. And if anybody doesn't know who Augie Garrido is, he was at that time, I think he's been passed now, but he was the winningest coach in college baseball. And it was one summer day I saw it come through ESPN, and I was like, this is amazing. And then I bought the DVD, and there's a whole 2 more hours of stuff. And anybody that I'm close with that we get into coaching, that's the first thing I buy them, because I think it's such an important staple for your foundation as a coach. I watch that every year. That's the biggest one. The other thing is being a member of the ABC, the National Coaches Association. You have to pay for these videos, but they got a whole library section of that. You can dive into whatever. You can just nerd out for hours if you want on any type of baseball thing. That, and then just having conversations with guys. I think with Jason and with Kelly. Now, Jason, we're league rivals here. And hopefully we can knock him off one of these days, because he made a comment about me talking junk online to him. But, talking, and Kelly got with the Fungo Banter, building our network of people we trust. And there's a lot of coaches that I have conversations with weekly, monthly, that just, I think that's really important to grow your baseball. Along with the documentaries and the podcast and everything, it's having that network of trusted people.
And speaking of a network of people, we're going to dive in to the Pacific Northwest Fungo Banter podcast when we come back. Again, this is our Christmas episode, a crossover, and we're joined by Eric Sorenson on the Sports Council 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Life happens. Lucky for you, the new ICCU Central Plus checking account comes with benefits, including cell phone protection.
Wait, through my ICCU checking account?
That's right. Along with a whole lot of other benefits you might need. Because being human is a full-time job.
If you've got a winery, brewery, or dairy, why buy industrial parts and supplies from across the country? Central Industrial Sales is your local source for supplies and equipment for the dairy, food processing, winery, and brewing industries. We specialize in custom fabrication, industrial cleaning equipment, sanitary fittings, valves, pumps, chemicals, and many other supplies. Everything's available through our website, by phone, or by dropping by our office. Call 509-375-4032 or find us at centralindustrialsales.com.
Christmas is in the air at Krispy Kreme Yakima, and the Peanuts gang is here. Celebrate with Snoopy, Charlie Brown, and a festive holiday dozen, perfect for parties or any holiday event. And while you're in, add a dozen original glaze for just $9.99 every day. Raising money? Krispy Kreme is still helping you raise some dough. Ask in-store about fundraisers. Be sure to download the app for sweet deals. Krispy Kreme, 2805 Dupertail in Richland. Come in with a sweet tooth, leave with a smile.
It's time to save big during the Red Tag event at McCurley Chevrolet, where incredible deals make driving your next vehicle easier than ever. Right now, take advantage of financing as low as 0% and explore a wide selection of new and used vehicles. From trucks to SUVs, we've got the vehicle to fit your life and your budget. Don't wait. Your next ride is closer than you think. McCurley Chevrolet, your way home.
Hi there, it's me, the Water Boy. Are you tired of water that doesn't taste or smell right?
Woo! At Soft Water Specialists, we can remove contaminants and odors, leaving you with better tasting water. Your appliances will last longer, your clothes will be softer and brighter, and your skin and hair will feel incredibly clean. And right now, get 0 down and 12 months same as cash on all our water systems. To transform your water from H2O no to H2O yeah, call Soft Water Specialists today.
Listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, the Tri-Cities leader in sports.
We're back on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports, joined by Pacific Northwest Fungo Banter podcast, Eric Sorenson. And we've talked a lot about baseball, about your background, about the legacy you have, not just in the fields, but also on the diamond. And a lot of this you talk about on the Pacific Northwest Fungo Banter podcast. Can you tell me a little bit about the podcast?
Yeah, so it was probably one of the good things that came out of our COVID shutdown. I was a communication studies major. I was more baseball eligibility in college. And I've always thought maybe I should do something with that. We originally started with actually the shirt I'm wearing, our Kittitas Valley Sports Talks, the local podcast. I started with 2 other guys, Sammy Henderson and John Goudet. We had Luke Olson, who's actually works for the AP when he gets the right marriage, but he left us to go be a golf pro. But anyways, we started this podcast, and then we get shut down, which was unfortunate timing to start a sports podcast because sports stopped. And then I get phone calls. Yeah, I know. It's such a hard time for that. Like, what do we talk about? Interview? I got to get creative. And it was actually, we talked, the ideas that come in the field, and it was talking to Jason Jarrett at Tri-Cities Prep, and then talking to Kelly Gow, he was head coach at St. Martin's at the time. He's since moved on to a different job, but he's one of my best friends, and we in each other's weddings and played together here at Central and talked daily. And he said, we should do a baseball podcast. And because I had been talking about listening to Jeremy Sheetinger. He's out Georgia Gwinnett now. I always listen to his podcast, and I had a lot of epiphanies through that. And they're, let's do this. And I was like, no, I'm not trying to have more on my plate. So then I would hang up the phone with Kelly, and then Jason would call, hey, we should really start this. I'm like, no. Well, finally I said yes. And then it's turned into, we started off just on our cell phones, dropping calls, to using Zoom on internet, dropping internet, to now we have it pretty dialed in for the most part, knock on wood. And I think it was something we started in COVID that we didn't realize what it was and the reach we had. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say how big of all the listenership we have, but I think we have a community of people that listen that's kind of grown together, and just trying to highlight coaches from the Pacific Northwest, because I know that we might not have the SECs of the world or the southern states in California, Arizona, where baseball they can play year round, but we have some really amazing baseball minds in our area. A lot of guys in pro ball from the Pacific Northwest, great colleges. It's just a baseball area to me. And not to mention all the great high school coaches over the years. So we started doing it and interviewing guys and kind of made it our own. It's evolved through the years. And I don't know, it's just been a fun thing to highlight and to make the connections that we've made. And I think very selfishly and personally, if there's something like we talked earlier, what do I want to get better at coaching? Hey, Jason, Kelly, let's interview someone and talk about base running or something for the day, right? And I can really put what I'm trying to accomplish. It's like my own little clinic I can put on myself for me. So that's my selfish part of this thing.
What are some of your favorite interviews that you've had on the podcast to date?
Ooh, we've had some awesome interviews. Gosh, we've always had. Ooh, that's a great question on the spot. That's we've had Tanner Swanson. He was a close friend of ours. He's the catching coach for the New York Yankees. I think some of the best interviews have happened off the air once we quit press and record, and we can't share those anymore. I don't know if I could narrow it down to exactly one or two right now. We've had, it's just kind of a cool, I guess the tree of coaches that went pro is we had Tanner, and one year we had Abe Silvestri, who was with the Giants. He's with the Dodgers. And then I think I don't know where he's at now. And then Craig Driver, who's the first base coach of the Cubs. And they were all central coaches, right? All the coaching staffs from the Pacific Northwest. We've had a lot of highlighted guys that are just Hall of Famers and just legends of the game. I'd say the fun one we had this last season, we've had quite a few, and we're actually recording another one tonight. We'll be dropping with Ryan Divish from the Seattle Times. But we had Terry Agnew, who was the head coach at Woodinville for years. He got to coach a lot of really great athletes, the Tuiasa-Sopo family. Coach Kelly, who went to Woodinville High School. And the fun one with that was that his son, Kevin, who's at Pullman now, was able to hop on at the end and ask a listener question with his dad. So that was pretty cool. Gosh, there's just been so many.
something in the state of Washington too is the saying of make the big time where you're at. You know, you're in Kittitas, you know, it's not, you're not Ryan Divish. I met him once at Mariners training camp, and, you know, Seattle Times, that's a huge platform, but whether it be in the Tri-Cities with the Sports Council, whether it be the Pacific Northwest Fungo Banter podcast, of creating that platform, obviously you believe in it enough to put the time into it. I hear you have some wine coming out, so I'm getting distracted here, but my question is, why is it so important to you to create this community of baseball for you in the platform of Pacific Northwest Fungo Banter podcast?
I think it is something that, you know, when we started it, I was fresh in the coaching, and I was always looking for my way through things. And now I'm on year 11 or 12 or whatever it was. And hopefully I can be one of those guys that gets those 20-year marks. We'll see if I can do that or not. But I just really want to make sure next generation coming through, I want to make sure that baseball in the Northwest in our area is going to be in a good spot, because it's done so much for me in my life. It's gotten a lot of opportunities for me, people that I've met, and to be able to do things that I just want to be able to pass this on to the next generation, and hope that we can keep the love of baseball going, and guys that want to do things the right way. And if the reason for the podcast, if we can give some people some tools, learning from the best, and then not only my selfish reasons of why I want to get better, but I love baseball, and I love our area, and I love being an underdog. I kind of feel like that's kind of a little bit up here because we're inside in the winter. And I think I just want to make sure that the baseball in our area keeps growing in the positive direction. It doesn't go in the wrong way for kids. And I hope that it keeps growing young people to want to get better, and to keep growing more positive humans in the long run with all the baseball players that we can impact.
And how can people find the Pacific Northwest Fungo Banter podcast?
Go to anywhere you get your podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and so on and so forth, wherever you get them, YouTube. Follow our social media. It's going to be kind of a fun one this year that we are, anytime we record, if you follow our socials, you'll see when we post, we're going to record every episode live. We won't drop them on the podcast platforms right away. We got a schedule to keep for our sponsors in a weekly release, but people can come follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and I guess it's X now, and Facebook. And you can actually watch us live shows and interact with us. And our listeners ask questions, and then after it's over with, we'll post them on every middle of the week of wherever you get your podcast.
So this is a crossover between Pacific Northwest Fungo Banter podcast and the Sports Council. We're joined by Eric Sorenson. And Eric, final question. It's Christmas. What is your favorite Christmas tradition?
Oh, that's a great one. Christmas favorite. Actually, we're going to do it today, I believe, because our plans got backed up. I always love making Christmas cookies, decorating them, it's turned into watching my kids open presents, and then hopefully, if the weather's right, go play outside. Snow. I like going playing the snow, sledding, building an ice rink out back if Mother Nature cooperates. So I think that's all of it, and I think it's just enjoying my kids these days and making sure that the twinkles in their eye. Oh, the other thing is, and I get Clark Griswold at my house. I love my Christmas lights, so you can probably see it from space, I hope.
The electric bill. Just to remember going up. Well, thank you so much for your time. Merry Christmas to you, and appreciate your time.
Hey, Merry Christmas, and thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Well, that'll wrap up this week's show of the Sports Council. Thank you for joining me on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports. A reminder, the Sports Council happens 4 times a month, 11:30 a.m. on Thursdays. You can listen to the show not just over the airwaves at 11:30 on Thursdays, but also on demand at 1340ESPNradio.com via podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search for the Sports Council, and it's also available via YouTube. So lots of ways to listen to the Sports Council and support our local sports community. Until next time, I'm Jamie Council. Now we go back to your originally scheduled Seattle sports programming.